Hello and welcome everyone to our Saturday stream. This is our Fantasy Grounds Unity map and image creation, and I'm Josh. So thanks everyone for joining me today. So we were working this last week on this tower with a nice little cliff, and we created a nice little waterfall as well as all of the surrounding areas. And so we're going to continue on working on this today. So I hope everyone's having a great week, and we'll finish this up, and then we'll see what we can create beyond this. So it should be pretty fun and exciting. We can go through a whole bunch of different stuff. We actually have to add in a lot of the effects layers and whatnot, and it seems that the Z order on some of this stuff has gotten changed. So we're going to fix that. We'll jump in and fix all of that stuff first, and then we'll continue on and build out. We're going to do a few different levels here, and we'll do maybe like a top level as well, and a whole bunch of other stuff. So it should be pretty fun to do. We created a whole bunch of different elements in here, as well as like this makeshift kind of dumbwaiter. And so without further ado, let's jump right into it. So one of the things that you can do, and this is a rather interesting little bit of tidbit of information if you guys are unaware of it. So if you click on, for example, a folder, you'll have access to, and you're in the edit mode, all of the elements that are inside that folder. You can then further kind of come down and go into each individual one as well. So, but we're going to jump over here, and we're going to go into this upper water one, which is where these things are. And as you can see here, these kind of got pushed under the actual water stroke that we actually used here. So I'm just going to grab some of these, and we can just kind of delete these, and we're going to add some more in here. But before I delete them all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here. I'm going to grab my element here, and this should, well, that's the wrong one. Let's try that again. We should be able to hopefully select one of these elements. Maybe what I can do is just grab one of these and pull it out. And what I would like to do is be able to select this without having to nope, that's not quite it. Well, it's not gonna grab. We can without too much problem here. One of these elements here is kind of what I was looking for, but I could probably actually, if I wanted to, I could just drag them over here, and then I can select it pretty easily. But what you can actually do is use that a little bit of this. It's sample settings from painted object, and what it will do is it should be able to grab that image if we're on the correct layer here. But it doesn't seem to want to actually adhere to those. So we're just going to delete those, and I'm going to go, those are actually inside of, and let me just move this over a little bit. We'll create a little bit of space here for our assets. And those are actually in the coastal map pack. So that's under the effects, and it's actually this right here. So I'm just going to grab and drop that right in there, and we can kind of make this an appropriate size here. And I'm going to hold down A and use my mouse wheel. And what I'm actually going to do is I'm just going to stamp a few of these across as like a little bit of a base. And we'll maybe make that a little bit less opaque. And I just want to create a little bit of a that feeling that you have a highlight or a little bit of stress on the water as it goes over that cliff face and creates that that feeling that it's kind of going down over. And then what I'm actually going to do is we're going to elongate this, and we'll make it even a little bit longer as opposed to its width here. And I'm going to line this up with the direction that the water is kind of going here. And I'm going to stamp a few out this way. And then I'm going to make it smaller, and we can do some going down as well. You might want to angle some on the edges out like this. just to kind of create a little bit more. And we can actually make these rather light here. And I'll just do a couple going this way as well. And some of these is a little bit too much down here at the bottom. So you know what I'm actually going to do is I'm just going to move some of these up a little. I want it to feel as though it's long and drawn out here, and then much shorter as it kind of comes down. Yeah, something like that. It's just going to give you that feeling that there is stress along the top there, and then everything's going to kind of come down from there. Great, so now that we have that finished, why don't we go in, and the other thing that I'm actually going to do is I'm going to put a blanket effects layer over the top of everything. So let's create a new effects layer, and I'm actually going to do time of day. And what I like to do is use this to help control my contrast and unify my colors a little bit across the board. And so what I'll do here is we're going to move this out maybe somewhere in here. And then with the adjustment, as you can see, we can make it very high contrast or bring it down a little bit. But I'm just going to increase the contrast here a little bit. And this way we can kind of, as you can see, it kind of brings everything together here. Brings everything into a similar color adjustment. I think we'll do something just about like that. And you can see if we turn this off, you can see it just adds a little bit of contrast to our images. And again, as I said, a little bit of more unification in the colors across the board. Just makes everything feel as though it belongs a little bit more. Great, so I think that we were actually going to be building this little area over here. And we're going to do some interior walls. We're going to build out a couple of different sections here and so on. So what I'm actually going to type in here is wood wall brush. And so everything that has something similar to that is going to pop right up here. So I think I'm going to grab, well, we're going to grab something like this. We'll move actually over into here, and we're going to drop this right into our stroke. And we're going to make sure our fill is turned off. And we're going to have a butt for our end cap. And I'm going to do miter for my corners in case I want to make any corners here. And here we have tower 2, right, which is the majority of this stuff. And then we have an adjust colors in here, as well as these painting elements and these painting elements. So what I'm actually going to do is create a new folder, and we're going to call this one Tower Floor 2, and we'll drop this down right in underneath here, and we can grab all of this stuff. What's this one for? Yeah, that's the stuff that's underneath, and we can drop that all right in there. And again, this is going to allow us to not only control a lot of the different elements, but we can use this folder as a unified piece. What it does is it basically creates a system by which that we can have sub-layers inside of this group. But when we interact with the group by itself, it'll act as though it's one layer. So what I'll actually do is I'll make this a little bit smaller. And I think we'll create a new painting layer. And we'll do this like TW2, wait, TF2 walls. And we can drop this down in. And it doesn't matter where we place this for right now. We might want to adjust this either above or below certain elements. We can kind of, and that's one of the things that this will help us do, is it'll allow us to move that to the appropriate Z value, and so that we can actually have things above or below the walls. So you see this little check mark? Okay, so the question is from Svenster, you're going to turn off the fill. Now, how do you do that? Just leave it empty. So what we actually want to do is, you can see here there's a chipmunk here, check mark, not a chipmunk, a check mark. All you have to do is turn this on or off. So you can either do a fill without a stroke, and if we did this, then we would have nothing active at the moment. And this would be a fill active. And so with this little switch, we jump between stroke and fill. And so what we'll actually do is turn this on, and you can actually at any time switch to normal painting color fills or color strokes or images, and you can kind of switch back and forth there. So the image creation system through the fills and the strokes actually work exceptionally well with each other. And what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to hold down Control so I can kind of snap to the grid here a little bit. And we're going to build out a wall. We'll do it kind of maybe something like this. And I'm going to double click there. And then we can come here. And I think what we'll do is we can bring it up. And I think what I'll do is actually, well, I'm not exactly sure where that went. Here, let's move this outside of, oh, there it is. I think that there's a slight update problem if it's inside of a folder. I'll have to do some more experimenting on that. But what I'm actually going to do is I'm just going to move this around and kind of adjust it to where I want it to be. We can just kind of line this up perfectly after the fact here. I'm going to leave this little opening over here on the side. So what this is going to do is going to separate this area from this area. And we can switch back into here. And I think what we'll do is maybe we'll do another section that comes off here. And one of the things that we can also do now is we can hold down Shift and snap to angles if we so wish. Yeah, but what I can actually do is line all of this stuff up after the fact. So I think what we'll do is we can, well, let's do it here. We'll create another. Looks like that we have some strangeness going on here. Let me just close this down and reopen it. And we will grab this once again here. Well, I'm going to click on that. It's going to reload that up for me. I'm just going to jump over here, and you see how that we have these occluder points. Let's just delete those. And here we can just kind of draw in. And I'm not going to be too... it's very strange how this is happening now. I wonder if we, maybe if we switch it over. Nope. Well, what I can actually do is pull this right over, and then I can erase a section that I want to. How very bizarre. I wonder if I can go into a rectangle and subtract. Nope. Same. Oh, did you have the same thing? Did you notice that when it happened or how kind of got engaged? Maybe we can track down a bug here real quick. Looks like that we have a little bit of strangeness with the mitered side as well. I'm wondering if it's because I started it inside of, painting inside of the folder, if that had some sort of action involved there. I'm not exactly sure. Do you recall the kind of what was going on during that? Oh, you weren't using folders at all? I wonder if it has to do with certain settings that we have here. So maybe if we sort of, if we go to, maybe we have to do normal overlap or add. If we create a new layer, oh, we create a new layer and then they all appear. How strange. Let's see if we can do it now. Yeah, now it's back to normal. I guess you just have to create a new layer, and it seems to set everything back to working appropriately. Good to know. So at any time, if you guys run into a bug or anything along those lines, if you find something that isn't quite working as expected, or if please let us know so that we can jump in there and try and get everything all sorted out. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to adjust the color of these walls. I'm going to make them quite a bit darker, I think. So what we can do is just kind of bring everything down. And I'm going to do this on the layer. I'm going to make them a little bit more brown, but I want them to be set aside or have a pretty good contrast from the walls. I'm doing it on the layer itself. That means that I can just paint in on that one particular layer and have it all work out. Oh, that's very interesting, Shattered. Yeah, so it seems that as I created a new painting layer, and it seemed to alleviate. And see now if I delete that layer, but if I create a new layer, it kind of brings it back. So if that happens to you guys, you just have to create a new painting layer. You don't even have to use it. It just has to be put in there, strangely enough. And now what I can actually do is I'm going to put this back down into this folder here, and I'm going to paint out some shadows coming out from underneath these walls, create a little bit of variant here, and we actually have a adjust colors here, which I'm going to go in and do this first. So I'm going to do a reveal area, and I'm just going to kind of come in here and do some shapes. Certainly not trying to be precise in any way. We're just going to do some shapes kind of coming out from underneath here, and I can hold down Shift, and I'm holding down Alt so that I can actually use it. You can see that that's already going to give it a little bit more oomph there as it kind of gets separated from that floor. Oh yeah, yeah. Well, you know, it's always a work in progress. So. And the image creation system is exceptionally advanced, especially in the back end. So there's so much interaction that goes on there, and only Carl is the only one who actually works on it from the programming standpoint. So it's quite the endeavor. So the more that we can help squash those the bugs, the better. Great. So let's continue on here. I think what we'll do is we'll create this to make this like a little bit of a bunk room. And this can be like a little entry area. Maybe we'll put some stuff in here with like a little dining area here. And then we got to do, I think what we'll do is instead of having, we'll do like a regular set of stairs going like straight up rather than curving up around the wall. Although we could do stairway that kind of comes up this way. But I think we'll just do like a straight shot, like coming straight up this way. And then maybe like turning. I have to think about this for a moment, where we're going to do our stairs. Or we could do a ladder going up to the next floor. But before we go too much further, what I'm going to do is I'm going to, I think that this is that one, and then here's the floor. So I think what I can do is come right in here, and I'm going to, let's move this up slightly, and I'm going to go back into my painting area here, and I'm going to grab this little guy. And what I'm going to do, and so here's another little trick for you guys. So if you grab something and you put it in here, and then as you're out over here, if you don't see the image right away where your cursor is, all you have to do is use your middle mouse button and it will appear immediately. I'm going to hold R, G, and B, and I'm going to use my mouse wheel to change the color over here. And then I'm just going to add a little bit more blue to it, not quite that much. And then I'm going to lower down the opacity quite a bit. Make this quite a bit smaller. And what I'm actually going to do is I'm just going to do a little bit in these corners. So the corners of things are going to have a little extra shadow. And the reason for that is it's called ambient occlusion. And what that is that light gets down in there and it bounces around and it never gets to come back out. And so little edges of things, little corners of things will always have a little bit of extra, this kind of gradient shadow that kind of comes out from them. And we can also elongate this a bit, maybe something like that. And again, I'm going to make it a little bit smaller, we'll make it a little bit lighter even, and do a couple underneath some of these areas here. And I'm going to do a little bit coming off of these edges over here as well. And that's just going to give us a little bit extra, that feeling that there is a little bit going on there. Great, so let's start adding in some additional kind of furniture and whatnot. I think what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to do a little bit more kind of coming out from underneath some of this furniture. Yeah, that gives it a little bit more separation. One of the things that our eye tends to look at to help divide between are those dark and light kind of areas. So to show that kind of elevation, again, we're going to create that little bit of a gradient that kind of comes out from underneath stuff. It can be super useful to do. And now we can go back all the way up into our base assets folder here and our images. And I'm just going to type in the word bed, and we're going to get a bunch of different ones here. I think we'll grab something like this. And again, I'm just going to jump right over here. And here we have all of our furniture here. So we can just kind of drop this down. Maybe just kind of put it in this corner. Yeah, let's put it. If we want to line it up good, we can put it over here. But I think doing it from this side will be fine. And we can do something along the lines of maybe we'll do like a little side table. And maybe just do something like really simple. Maybe we'll do something that shows a little bit of the legs like this. And we can maybe place it over here. And maybe we'll do like a chest or a trunk at the foot of the bed. Let's see if I have like a typical. Yeah, so we have something that's open. We can actually fill it with contents if we wanted to. Why don't we do that? I think what I'm actually going to do is, nope, I'm going to, not quite that long, but I want it to be a little bit longer and more narrow. And then we can actually place some items in there for if we wish. So maybe we could put in a hat. And what I'm actually going to do, I'll show you, is I'm going to switch this over. We'll turn the stroke off. And I'm going to put the hat as a fill. And then what I'm going to do is we'll just kind of draw her out here. Well, not like that. Let's just do a rectangle. We'll just kind of draw out a hat or a section here. And then I'm going to move this over. And we can scale this down to whatever is appropriate, we think. And what I can do is I can now cut off any section of this image that I wish. So what I'll do is double click this and we'll move it over to this section here. And then all I have to do is do something like this. And as you can see, because I've added this in as a fill element, and if I want to line this up perfectly, all I have to do is just move this right to the correct location here. And I could even just do it to something just like that. So any sort of image that you have here that you want to use like a section of, all you have to do is make it into a fill. And it will repeat it, but then you just change the size of it to whatever is appropriate, and you can cut off any sort of image that you need to. It's a great way to make even further kind of adjustments to things. So we could do it with all sorts of different items in there, whatever we wanted to place in there. So if we were going to do maybe what other things might be in there? Let's do. Oh, maybe we'll do maybe something like this. And I'm going to do this exactly the same way. I'm going to grab an item, something like this. And I'm just going to draw out a section here. And it doesn't have to be anywhere near exact, because we can rotate it. We can change its size, its orientation, everything just from this area right here. So I'm going to make it a bit smaller here. Maybe something like that. And then I can hold down Shift and I can rotate this. And I can drag it around to whatever is appropriate. But what I'll actually do here is I'm just going to, let's actually move it over here so that we can kind of see it with what's going on here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to close in on this one particular image here. And then I can move this over. And let's say I want to have this this cup kind of sticking out, but I want this to be covered here. All I have to do is grab this, and now there it is. It looks like it's kind of sticking out. So if you wanted to do something like sticking out from underneath the bed, you can obviously paint it under the bed, which would be a much easier way to do it, just stamp it under there. But if you have a static image, let's say that you're using a pre-made map or you're using something like this that has the top and the bottom already kind of put together in there, you can take those images and you can dissect them. You can kind of put them in any way you wish. So now when we come back out, as you can see, that works quite perfectly. And if we come in here and in the same area over here, we'll go to our stamp and let's grab our little fellow over here. And I'm going to make this quite a bit smaller. We're going to come in here. And what I'll do is we'll also make this quite light, quite transparent. I'm going to come in and I can kind of seal the deal here of making this feel like it's kind of down in there. And I could even, let's make this quite a bit longer. Maybe we'll do something like that, and we'll do like 0.2 for its width. Do a little bit coming off of the edge there. As you can see, we can really start to add in a lot of control. That's a little bit too much. Let me actually go in there and that one's even a little bit too much here. There we go. Much better. So yeah, very, very cool stuff. The creativity that is able to be achieved inside of Fantasy Grounds is quite impressive, in my opinion. It is, you can really maximize the use of the system to create tons of different types of stuff. So feel free to experiment and use all of these tools in their entirety. What other kind of items might we want to place in here? Anything else you guys think? Maybe we'll put like a book on the little stand over here. And maybe we'll do like a little inkwell. Excellent. Maybe we have like a painting hanging up inside of the room as well. Maybe we'll do something like, let's see here. Yeah, something like this. Or maybe it's a mirror or something along those lines, but we'll put it right on that wall just like that. Nice. All of these kind of incidental items, I think, just add a little bit of extra feeling as though that the place is actually lived in. It becomes a little bit more believable, a little bit more immersive. And that's always such a great thing. And then we can create kind of an entry area up here. Maybe we'll keep it kind of barren. Maybe just do, what do you guys think? What should we kind of place around out here? We're going to do some stairs going up, or another, or maybe a ladder going up to the next floor. If this is like a military kind of tower, like a watchtower, we might want to do some like racks of weapons or whatnot. And there may be We could do some additional kind of buildings out and around as well. Make a little kind of encampment or something. Maybe tents or something. Really, it's limitless. Oh, hey Drake. Happy Saturday. So let's type in, we have some weapon racks here, and some like groups of weapons as well. Oh, a guest house, right? Maybe we'll do something like this. And we can actually maybe we'll make it a little bit more narrow. That's a little bit too much. We could actually take one of these empty racks and then place weapons all around it, and then we have maybe something like this. Yeah, maybe we'll do something like that. Right, it's the 27th floor. We're on our way. We're getting there. We are certainly getting there. I think what we'll do is actually, let's move this stuff. I think we're going to do like either our stairs going up or something along those lines. So we'll move this stuff over here. And we can put in maybe like a suit of armor. Oh yeah, we'll definitely do the roof. We'll do the whole shebang here. I think that'll be fun. Maybe what we'll do is like, if I can type, we can find it. I have some that are at these nice angles so that we can kind of place them in as well. Maybe we'll take one and we'll just kind of lay it on the floor. Things aren't always put away appropriately. And we can grab some of these shields. Maybe we'll do something like this. Some of these ones that are a little bit at an angle, we could even, you know, place something up on the wall. Maybe over here. And a nice like kite shield. Maybe we'll place it like there. Great. Oh yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, we'll definitely be looking into that for sure. Yeah, that is a good idea. And I think what I'll actually do is in this moment before we go too much further, so I'm going to grab this and we'll just add in a little bit of a shadowy stuff here on the back side of some of this stuff. Give everything a little bit of feeling that it's actually there. And we can kind of go below as well and do some nice little stuff poking out from underneath. Excellent. Yeah, but I'll look into that, Drake, about doing some. Do you think that we should do like some pre-made map kind of stuff? We do. We do. There's an entire. In fact, there's two art packs. Well, let's go in here, and if we go into, let's see, what are they called? There's two. There's Siege Map Pack 1 and 2. The first one is all offensive stuff. So we have battling rams and different types of catapults and ballistas. We have all kinds of offensive weapons here. We have trebuchets and all kinds of cool stuff. And we also have lots of cool effects where you can like just put down like and the way that this works here, I'll actually kind of demonstrate this really quickly here, is you can, let's say, for example, if we were to come over here, let's go into this one, and we could make an indent. Really quickly, and then if we go into our decorations here, we go to these shots. You can place them right inside and create these as if they've been hit down into these little locations here. And then the second siege one is all defensive brushes where there's like trenches and different types of fortification walls and whatnot. And here are all the defensive structures. So we have all of these like spiked barriers, flags, war drums, lots of like different weapons for the battlefield, tents and whatnot. We even have like training dummies and a lot of these like weapon racks and stuff. And then all you need to do is just add in a little bit of a shadow there, and you could do it lickety split. I think you can actually probably do it with the same. I wonder if we can grab that. doesn't seem to want to. But yeah, you can do lots of cool stuff. And there's like effects for like scorched earth and all kinds of stuff. Great. Starting to look pretty cool here. Lots of cool stuff going on, and the way that everything's interacting, I think, looks pretty good. So we'll build up something that goes up to the second floor. Maybe what we'll do is we'll do steps that go up, and we'll do a little platform, and then we'll do the stairs kind of coming up along this wall a little bit. So we'll do it along there. That should work out really well. We'll make another floor, and we'll continue up our tower here.